Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Heartfelt Perspective Sharing, the podcast run by trainee clinical psychologists at Taylor's University. So, I'm your host, Ibthihal, and I'm a trainee from Taylor's University, HPS.
Hi, I'm Lamya. I'm also a trainee clinical psychologist from Taylor's University,
Hi,
and I'm your co-host today.
thanks. Cool. Hi, I'm Ben. I got upgraded from Tech Boy. And this is Dr. Sam. We may know her, but y'all don't know her. So maybe Dr. Sam can introduce to everyone.
Hi, everyone. So I'm the lecturer for the program called Masters of Clinical Psychology in Taylor's, and they are my students. So today we will do a conversational one, as they have mentioned. So it's not a lecture, and that is going to be as cozy as possible.
So, today we'll be discussing a bit about like work-life balance and basically having like separating how do you separate like being like a working person with being like a mother and like other home related stuff.
Yeah.
Like parents,
Yeah.
home-related stuff. Yeah.
So, Dr. Sam, like, what does like having a good work-life balance mean to you specifically?
Yeah, I guess this is a topic that I'm quite passionate to talk about because uh, um, it has not been talked about, I believe. We expect mothers, working mothers, to function very professionally and also very efficiently at home. So, what is balance? This really hits me, right? Did I ever had balance in my life as well as a mom, as well as a working adult? I think it's hard to achieve balance. This is the truth. Because as much as we want, it's going to be hard. Mm. So, and your question is, sorry.
No, so like, what does like having a balance of sort mean to you
What does
specifically?
balance mean? Okay, so I think it's hard to achieve balance.
No.
So what is the balance in the working world? I think maybe to achieve some form of boundaries, maybe
Mm-hmm.
it cannot be symmetrical. It is totally asymmetrical, I think, because sometimes you will be spending more time at work, and then sometimes you will be spending more time at home,
Mm-hmm.
so that it becomes more of like a so-called balance. But it's not going to be totally like in a day 8 hours of work and then another 8 hours at home. It's not going to happen. Ideally we want, but it's not going to happen, I think.
Okay, so obviously having like a realistic perspective of it is important.
Yeah. That's I think that's the truth of everything, right? That as much as maybe social media or like people start to talk about like you have to function in both areas very efficiently,
Mm-hmm.
and therefore when they say that, right, they never explain what is the details of how to make it so balanced. They just say you have to be balanced. So
Mm-hmm.
when this question gives I mean when working mothers hear this question, as a mom and as a working adult myself, right, I feel pressured. So the word balance is hard, but we are expected to do so. So it's really something very important to talk about. At least we can normalize that balance is not really something normal to achieve. It's okay to not achieve even. Mm.
I think stemming from that, what I'd like to ask something like, since you've mentioned that it's asymmetrical, right? You can't really balance between the both, right? Have you ever experienced like a guilt as a
Oh,
mom and as a
oh.
professional guilt? And how do you tend to manage that guilt?
So I think just now, already you see my face a bit guilty for
Yeah.
not able to spend so
So,
much time, right? I think it's normal that we feel
right.
guilty, either or, especially if we are responsible to all our future clinical psychologists. Next time, we have to ensure that we are gatekeepers to all of the students who study in the master's program, so that they can serve the society. We have a goal, we have some form of responsibility, but that doesn't mean that we can let go our family and our child. When we give birth to them, we are responsible for their growth as well, and in the future they are also part and parcel of the society. So and we as a human, there's so much that we can do. So as much as we want to be totally efficient, but there's just this much that we can do. I will also feel tired. I will also feel emotionally exhausted, though I'm a psychologist as well. So I think guilt will definitely come no matter where we are. But I think it's important for us to start to be less harsh on ourselves. If we can't, even if we can spend that 20 minutes of that day with our child, fully present, not with our phone, not with anything else, not with TVs, at least that's good enough. And then with our students, if we fully put our heart into it, no matter what is the outcome, because we can't control, right? No matter what's the outcome, at least we have done our best. I think doing our best as much as we can will try to reduce the so-called guilt.
The
Yeah,
disappointment that comes with
yeah, yeah.
I think that's important too, actually,
Mm.
being the best every aspect of life,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
As an educator,
Yeah,
now as a parent as well. How did
yeah.
becoming a mother change your perspective of work-life balance from when you first started out?
Oh, okay. So, um, I guess this is something that also strikes me, right, to reflect. Your questions are very reflective, by the way. So, uh, if what is the thing that I reflect on is that why I am a clinical psychologist to start off with. So I think my journey started off with a direct goal. The moment that I did my undergrad, I know I want to be a clinical psych. The first class itself, I want to be a clinical psych. So I have a very straightforward, direct, never think much, don't know whether it's a good thing or not. Then I became a clinical psych. Dreams fulfilled, you know. And then after that, once I became the clinical psych that I ever wanted to be, then I thought, okay, I will contribute as much. I will work as an educator, I will practice, and then I will do my PhD. Okay. And that's just like going through a race, you know, trying to reach the end goal. So when I finally reached the end goal, right, together with the goal, something came along, which is parenting. So then it's an added on thing which I never thought that it's in the plan or something like that, you know, because it's very different. When you have a career, when you study hard for something, you can plan, and if you study hard, then things will go well, right? This is the equation, right?
Yeah.
Usually. But in parenting is God. After you become a parent, then you even but in parenting it's not, you know, because when it comes to parenting, right, there's no equation. I hope there is. I tried to put in all my child psychology
So you're trying to find a
knowledge
formula just to get an equation out of it.
so that I'm in control, right? Just like how I was previously,
Dr.
right?
Sam, your CBT.
I have to CBT myself, but there's no equation. And I think that I guess a lot of clinical psych out there, right, who are parents, they will use all the theories that they have learned, you know, gender parenting, whatever. But I guess this is life. This we are humans too. It's hard and it's unpredictable. There are a lot of things that we cannot use, we cannot predict. There's no equation totally. So I think that after being a parent, it totally changed my perspective of like how we can apply 100% the theories that we learn on human beings to some flexibility that we can develop. Theories are theories, right? We all know. But because we were hardcore academicians and like hardcore clinical side, we wanted to apply as much as possible so that to prove what we study is what we can apply. But actually, when we apply it to our real life, our children, sometimes we need a bit of flexibility. And I think that works better because we won't feel so stressful. And that perhaps there could be some area of research next time to modify that particular theory then, you know. So I think this is how parenting has taught me to be more flexible, to chill a little bit. It's okay. Never finish the work is okay too. Never achieve the goal is okay too. And I feel happier that way instead of the initial me actually.
So having like a little bit of space after the theory to like modify it to your specific needs at that time, right? So do you feel like being like in the specific clinical psychology field makes it more difficult or different than other fields?
As a working mom in the clinical side,
Yeah.
again, another reflective question.
Are you proud of us? Do we ask that question?
Yeah. Uh, mm, so let me just share my personal experience. I think being a
Mhm.
clinical psych myself, right, surrounded with friends who are not clinical psychs, good friends who are not surrounded by clinical psychs, I think they do expect certain things from us as well. They think that we are all emotionally regulated, we are best parenting, we know everything about developments and whatnot. So I think there's a certain expectation. If you have family members, right, they
Mhm.
also come to you to consult you,
Mhm.
but the fact is we can't, right? So I think this is the kind of expectation that the general society would have. They look
Mhm.
at you, they think that you can know what they're thinking already, right? But actually we can't. So this is I think this is an added stress for being a mom clinical site, people would expect you to know everything. But
Mhm.
actually we don't know. Like I said, we have to be flexible. Uh, I don't know about other profession. Maybe if they are an accountant, they are also expected to know everything about accounting, but actually they may not know. I'm not sure. But I think in because psychology is about human,
Mm.
the general public would expect us to know everything about human, including ourselves as well as our family members and children and husband probably. But we don't know. We are still learning also. But I guess one very good skills that we as clinical psych has is that we are quite reflective and we can be we gain insight from experiences. So that's why from the life experiences we can actually apply it into our theories, to help us to be more grounded, especially
Mhm.
on what we want to be and who we want to be. Mm.
So the expectations definitely are a bit higher. We have to set like
I,
higher
I feel so.
standards.
I feel so. Friends who are watching, I don't know. But I receive a lot of texts from them, by the way. They will text me and ask me like, my husband, my child, any idea? I don't have any idea, by the way.
This might be our future now.
Yeah.
You think now it's not already like
Now it's already right. Probably not about children and husbands or like wives, but it's more of like how to deal with themselves right now.
yeah.
They do? Your friends do?
Mm, not necessarily friends, but even like I think
Family
relatives,
members,
yeah, they're
yeah.
like, oh, like I'm having this issue. Do you know
Mm,
why?
mm.
I think even own parents, they
Yeah,
really think just because we are like
yeah.
studying for this program, they're
Mm,
like, oh, you should know this better, you should know that
mm,
better.
mm.
And when they come to us and like, oh, I don't know how to do this, let me know. And I'm like, even I don't know. Even I'm
Exactly.
struggling. And then she's like,
Yeah.
you should know
Mm.
better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But I
yeah.
think with parents or family members, the difference is that the expectations they have of us as a professional is different from the expectations as like a person or an individual.
As a
So
daughter.
like yeah, so with my
Mm,
parents at least like I'm a child, but also they see me as this person studying something.
Exactly.
So
mm,
they have like two separate sets of expectations.
Exactly. So when
mm.
we were to give an opinion, they're like, is this my daughter speaking or is this as a professional you're talking to me?
True,
Yeah,
true, true.
Then they'll keep asking you about like, what do you think about this? What do you think about that?
Ah,
exactly. So if
so
we were to give some kind of opinion that's like a little skewed, they're like, okay, now you're being too biased here. Yeah.
ah,
So yeah.
so yeah, becoming a clinical psych, we are professionals in the area of psychology, clinical psychology, but also we are humans. I hope everybody understands we are also humans, Yeah. So,
I guess given the realities of life and being human, and
mm,
learning from experience,
mhm.
would you say that work-life balance now becomes a myth, or is it more challenging, like, or doable with certain boundaries that you can set for yourself?
Mm. I'm not sure about others, honestly, how well they do with their work and their life, whether it can be balanced or not, and whether it's still a myth or like it's really doable. We will try our best to not make it a myth. I think it's very important to have work-life balance. Mm. I mean, we see a lot of clients, right, with work
Mhm.
stress, and we tell them that self-care, self-compassion, but we never do it on ourselves. How hypocrite we are, right? So I think it's important. especially we have to be very ready to see our clients. Our mental state has to be very clear and good enough, at least psychologically, to meet our clients. We need to do that no matter how. So I hope it's not a myth. We'll try our best to not make it a myth. I'm trying my best every day, not to say just for others, like when you talk about for my students, for my kids, for my husbands, but also for myself. I think like spending time for probably doing things that I enjoy. I think that's very important. Mm.
Now you mentioned that, do you think that female clinical psychologists are judged differently,
Oh,
especially when it comes to setting the boundaries with work and
ah,
the parenting roles compared to male
mm,
clinical psychologists?
mm, mm. Um, clinical psychologists, what do they do?
Like let's
No,
supposedly
on
say that if they are clinical psychologists and
mm,
also fathers, do you think it's
mm.
different to how
I think it's
like
the
it's the
same,
same?
right?
Okay.
As long as your clinical side, there could be some form of expectation. I think even like males, right? It's higher expectation. I'm not sure.
It's just
Mm.
asking
Your
if you have
spouse in the
thought,
future will expect you to know what they are thinking, what they like.
Flashbacks already.
I'm not sure, but as a female, I think naturally females are more compassionate. They are more emotionally what's that word, sensitive to people naturally. So I think there's not much difference in terms of being a female and a
mm-hmm.
female clinical side. I guess that's why a lot of you are females, right, in the field.
I think maybe a different way to look at that question, at
Mm,
least from what Lava said,
mm.
is like because we're like in the Asian context, right? There's more expectations of
Ah,
like, oh, you have to take care of the household, even if you're
ah,
working. So do
ah,
you feel like if you were like a
male.
male in the working workforce, it
Ah,
would be different because you'd
oh,
have less
probably,
expectations from
probably,
people?
probably.
And
So
also
it's
the
just
judgments wise.
probably it's just the household part, right? We need to
Yeah.
take care, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But nowadays, there's so many possibilities. We have to be flexible.
Mm-hmm.
For
Correct.
example, husbands, they can also mop the floor, right? They can
Yeah.
also wash the dishes, right? Well, we can educate them. It's important to do it. Or maybe we can source out some helpers to help us. I think there's a lot of flexibility on that. Well, I think not me. I don't get that kind of high expectation that I have to
Mm-hmm.
make sure the household is completely well managed. Like when you
Mm-hmm.
enter the house, it's like a
Spotless.
hotel,
Mm.
So I don't think I have that thankfully. But I am not sure about others. If they do have, I think be flexible. There's so many things that you can do. You don't need to take everything to yourself till maybe you feel stressed and then you don't feel like there's a balance. Um, recently I came across a video, right, saying that okay, imagine that you and your spouse, you were working in a company. So when the dishes is a task. Okay, the
Mm-hmm.
dishes are not washed, right? Do you actually tell your workmate, your teammate, saying that, oh, I don't know how to wash that dish. Can you help me to do it? Do you actually do that in that particular workplace? You don't, right? You will
No.
say, do you need my help? I'm not very good in this, but do you need my help in doing that
Mm-hmm.
PowerPoint, for example? The PowerPoint is the dish, by the
Dish.
way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you will try that, right?
Yeah.
So it's very odd that you just sit there and wait for your teammate to finish off the PowerPoint, and then you're
Mm-hmm.
just there all the time playing with your phone. So if you can if spouses, right, can put their mindset into something like this, right, I think it's a lot of harmony going on. It become very harmonious in the house.
Okay, I
Yeah.
think from what I'm understanding, at least like having like a supportive partner, if you are
Yeah.
in a relationship, is quite
Yeah.
important, or any kind of
Yeah.
support system when
Yeah.
you're trying to maintain like a balance with both aspects of your
Yeah,
life.
yeah, yeah. And also, ourselves as a female, Asian female particularly, we are expected to take care of the family,
Mm.
ensuring the household is well run and whatnot. We need to know that there's so much we can do, and it's okay to ask for help also. So sometimes it's not about the spouse not helping. Sometimes you never ask them; they also thought you don't need the help,
Mm.
probably. So be flexible and just ask for help, not to take in everything by yourself.
Do you have any thoughts on that as a male?
I mean,
No, I have to wash the dishes.
I mean, personally, as a male, you'd be like also like you're kind of doing your own things. You
Mm.
also have your own responsibility, right? So I don't know if it's just a male thing or is it just a personal thing. Sometimes
Yeah.
you don't think of helping until you're asked,
Mm.
right?
I guess communication is
Yeah,
the foremost.
communication. No communication, no flexibility.
Think about it as a teammate.
Yeah. Should think about it.
Yeah, me.
Stress.
Think about it too.
Do you have
Mm,
anything?
Okay, given that flexibility is a theme that has been mentioned
mm,
a lot in
mm,
this in this like a few questions
mm.
already, how can you like increase your own flexibility as a person, not just a CP?
I think mindset. He comes already. Mindset
It
is
comes.
very important, yeah.
So difficult to change minds.
Yeah, especially when there's societal expectation, especially you try, but people keep telling you that no, that's not what you should do.
Mm.
You should be the one that cooks for your husband, you can order food. Grab is easily available nowadays, isn't it? So be flexible. I think be open also to
Yeah.
different things that can help you with your life. Okay, if let's say today you cannot cook a very good meal, a simple meal will do if you want to save some money, right? So not everybody can order Grab every day. I think be flexible, not to have such a high expectation, always only has one solution to that particular problem, and having people to acknowledge that by at the end of the day, as long as there's food, there's still food. And having that person the family to acknowledge that you're already doing very well, that's very important to keep you going. So mindset is so important actually. Mm.
That's the CBT speaking, I guess.
Yeah.
Actually it is.
Because it's very hard to change one's mindset, especially if
Mm,
they're so fixated on
mm,
their perspective.
mm.
And you're like, but you can also see this perspective.
Yeah.
They find it very difficult to see the other perspective.
So what helps me to change that particular perspective, right, is that to see things differently, to see maybe my group of friends are people who are very flexible, and their spouses are also very supportive. So I see that actually it's not that bad after all to for them. They don't cook every day, they don't clean the house every day. In fact, they are working adults as well. What they do is that they order food, catering, for example. Every day, some caterers will send food over, and it's okay. They still have nutritious meal every day. So when I see that, right, I think that nowadays times have changed. So it goes back to us reflecting what we see and internalizing what we can do with what we have learned.
Mm-hmm.
That is a process. So that's why people say it's difficult, cannot. But are you open to see things differently first? Are you able to internalize yourself and see what you can make do with the new things that you learn? If you can, then perhaps the change is going to be easy. But if you just close up everything, saying that the only way to give my family a nutritious meal
Meal.
is to cook every day, rush home, cope in a grumpy mode, you know. It's your choice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, there's like a lot of emphasis on like the support system that you surround yourself with.
Yeah, and also yourself being able to reflect this whole journey of being flexible. How
Mm.
can you be more flexible? It's a journey for you to internalize, learn, progress, and change, I think. Mm.
And also you being adaptable to uncertainty. That's also very important. Because
Yeah.
because if let's say something uncertain came about and you can't
Like
really
having a child.
that is true, right? Because you can't unless some people plan, some people they don't. So if
Maybe
something
even not about planning, right? I feel like children are so
Yeah,
unpredictable.
even you plan to have the child, after that, it's so unpredictable
exactly.
also.
So you have to be able to adapt to that new life of
Yeah.
yours also.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
at first, can I ask Doctor if you did you had like a struggle moment when you first had your
Uh,
kid, like the struggle
struggle
period?
moment. Yeah,
Yeah,
sure. I think from the moment when I was pregnant already is a struggle moment. Because I have planned like to go through natural birth, but then it didn't happen, complications, whatnot. So it's not something that it's not in the equation at all. All birth can go through natural birth, by the way. And then after that, after delivery, okay, we plan to, because of the idea of breastfeeding is the best and whatnot, we plan to do that, but not enough for the child. Then the child cries, and we plan for so many things. After that, I think the rest is history already. We know it already. What's the other plan? Plan, but then it's not what it is supposed to
Yeah,
be. So I learned to not plan, and surprises come sometimes.
exactly. That's the
Mm,
uncertainty part.
See,
mm.
but that's what kind of makes it exciting also, right? Because
Yes,
if you
yes.
know how everything's gonna work out, then there's no
Yeah,
point in doing anything.
yeah,
There's no
yeah, yeah.
excitement in life already.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So that's why I cannot apply the same equation to to life in general. Experiencing it from the moment to moment is so important, I think.
Mhm.
Mm. I
Every
think,
time she says equation, I immediately think of CBT for some reason.
but I cannot use I will use ACT in my life
Yeah.
probably, but not the CBT part in accepting the changes. I think we can't. But the flexibility is very important, I think.
Correct.
Uh, I think in the beginning you also mentioned about like having boundaries with like
Mm,
your work life stuff, right?
mm,
So do you feel like sometimes it might be difficult or
mm.
it takes more effort to set these boundaries when also like you're trying to teach your client about setting boundaries, but
Ah,
at the same time you're struggling with your own
oh,
things?
sure, yeah. I struggle about this all the time. As you know, sometimes I promise you about something and then it didn't happen for about a week and then you remind me again and then I miss it again because as I plan for that day to do the things that I promised you, something will come in between. And then that is more urgent according
Mm-hmm.
to that person. So I have to attend to that. Then after that, what happens to the first priority that I set for myself, right? Which is your task. So I guess it's really hard, especially in this fast-paced working environment, where everybody seems to be urgent.
Mm-hmm.
Though it's not my priority, but we have to still because we still work for people, right? Um, so I like to share this with my client, but I don't know how much they can say it to their work colleagues.
Mm-hmm.
Your urgency is not my sense of priority. uh, to those people that actually would rush you through because of their lack of planning, I think it's
Mm-hmm.
okay for you to say that.
Yeah.
But there are certain things we have to weigh. Sometimes it's really urgent and we understand that why they need it so urgently, then we will help them as much. Okay, then we put aside something.
Mm-hmm.
So setting boundary is hard because there's so many factors that come into play to decide how to be balanced.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So your question is, as I talk to my client, how would I have the cognitive dissonance? First is I would share with them how to differentiate it properly. Like for example,
Mm-hmm.
some things is really not our urgency is
Mm-hmm.
probably they misplan something. First time is okay, second time, but a few times like that, it really disrupt other people's life. I think it's time for us to set really clear boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's really a true urgent one and it's genuine, that it's really something important, we can help, no
Mm-hmm.
problem. And I will also sometimes share with my clients that my struggle. So to normalize that it's hard,
Mm-hmm.
okay? So to tell them that you are just like me and I'm
Yeah.
just like you. And everybody is struggling, but we try our best.
Mm-hmm.
So the key is trying our best, I think.
I think
Mm.
suddenly something that came to my mind is the other day, even in the group, you sent a text like, "Oh,
Oh,
like it's okay to sometimes say no to your clients if it's
oh,
gonna lead to like
oh,
burnout."
and what strikes your mind? I don't know.
Even though I do know that,
Uh-huh.
sometimes I feel like in this field specifically, we might feel compelled because you're like, "Oh, the
Ah,
client's not doing well,
mm,
or they really need something." So if we push ourselves to a point where it's not healthy anymore, then we're not
mm.
actually helping the clients.
Correct. Yeah, I think very importantly, we must understand that there's this thing called compassion fatigue. We are in this field where you need to be there emotionally, physically, even though with the amount of coffee I drink every day, still we have to be healthy at least to be there for our clients so the session can be very fruitful. It's your responsibility. So if you notice that you are actually a bit fatigued, or like you feel like you are above and beyond the compassion fatigue level that you can handle, I think it's time for you to ask yourself whether you can. Like I shared this morning also, right?
Yeah.
Don't normalize burnout.
Yeah.
I think that's a very important thing for trainees, especially because
Exactly.
trainees when they enter, they're like so motivated. Like, I can
Yeah.
help everyone that I can.
Exactly.
Correct. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
mindset completely shifts once you reach like the third quarter of the
Maybe it's the
practicum.
age.
It's
That
also
it's the age.
the drive is there.
Yeah, you still have a lot of energy.
Energy is gone now.
Really?
She's the youngest here.
Wait until you reach my age. So yeah, I think that's a reminder for everyone. Sometimes we forget ourselves, what's important for ourselves. Well, I'm not saying that you will swing all the way to like self-care at the expense of your work, that's too much already. But then searching a well-balanced kind of thing, again, balance, right? But I think it's a myth, right? Like you said. But try our best,
Yeah.
and acknowledging all the signs and symptoms that you may not be able to fully present, and listen to people around you. Sometimes you don't know, but people will tell you, hey, I noticed that you forget things already. Are you okay? When people start to ask you that, right, you may want to remind yourself, what's going on? Why people ask me, am I okay?
Also adding to the point, I think it kind of fosters guilt when you try to
Ah.
tell them that, oh, I'm sorry, I can't make it to the session today because
Mm.
I have this and that. But I think at the end of the day, you have to come to terms with it because it's not that we can't make it. It's more towards that I need to prioritize myself for me to
Mm.
give a better performance or for me to provide a better care for you, right? I think it took a while for many of us to
To
understand that,
understand, yeah,
right?
yeah. And in fact, I think when we actually educate our clients, we are Asians, right? And a lot of clients are Asians as well.
Right.
They think for others first before themselves. We live in a collectivist culture. So that's why when they make certain decisions, it's always for other people first instead of ourselves. So we always use the analogy in CBT that, when you're in a plane and then there's an emergency, the mask start to fall
Yeah.
down. Which one do you wear first? Is it for your child who's much younger than you, or for yourself? The protocol says it's for ourselves, right?
Ourselves first.
So that you can help others.
But Dr. Sam, even earlier when you were speaking, a lot of the things that you mentioned were about like responsibility as like an educator, as a mother.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's difficult to make.
Yes, yes. I think it's a mixture of different things like cultural factors, how we are brought up to be. We don't prioritize ourselves most of the time because we are collectivist culture kind of species, right? And also sometimes we are very used to helping others. That's why we are in this field. So I think a lot of factors would come into play together. That's why there's one part when you keep probing me about, time for family, time for work. I also said time for myself. So that's very important.
That's very
Eating
good.
healthily also.
Yeah.
Don't eat so fast also. That's one of the very small thing you can do.
When we factor all that in, right, what are some of the boundaries that you can do to prioritize yourself the
Oh,
most?
okay. That's a good one, I think. Maybe some strategies, right, for people. I
Mm-hmm.
think set blocking time off. Blocking. Work finishes at 6. Then after that, what do we do?
Assignment.
Prepare for the next session. Next session.
Okay, so what time does work officially finishes? No, never ending.
That's why it's a myth for you.
For you.
Yeah.
Now we're talking from personal
Unless,
experience.
unless it goes to the point where I'm like, you know what, I can't. I have reached my mental capacity for today. I shut everything down. That's me personally.
But that's a bit too.
That's like she reaches to the point of no return and
Uh,
then only you stop.
Burning out. It's like,
you need to pace, right? We talk about pacing,
I know.
right? So you need to set a time. Maybe not every day that you will block off. Ideally, it's every day because that's how we can pace, right? So for me is that I not to say I totally block off, but certain days I will go for exercises, So that day, despite whatever, I will just say, sorry, I'm here. I can't handle it. So we apply leaves, sorry, I will put that icon in my WhatsApp saying that I'm out of office. Even we put in the WhatsApp description, they will not open it, right? But if you put the icon, they will
Yeah.
see it. Or like I tell my students that I'm on leave or something like that. So I think having time off on and on and off is important. So like dinner time, do you actually do your assignment? For example, when you eat, you still do and eat? Oh no. So being mindful of what you should do for yourself is very important. Just block off that particular time. It can be maybe 2 hours of a day. It's good enough. Mm.
I think we
A
also
lot
need
of
to do a
guilt there, I
lot
feel.
we also need to do a lot of self-reflection after this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a process. Like I said, I didn't start off, the moment I become a student, and the moment I work in tailors, right? I'm totally like that. I didn't,
Mm.
it's like a work in progress, and I think I'm not perfect yet. Sometimes for 1 month I didn't go for exercise because it's always like there's always tomorrow, right? There's always tomorrow. Exercise class will always be there. But I think the idea of always tomorrow is just making me feel like I didn't prioritize myself. So
Mm.
you need to tell yourself, this is the only day in that week, particular week you set for that 7 days, one day you set for yourself, just 2 hours, you can't make it. It's ridiculous, right? Actually, if you
Yeah.
think about that.
The always tomorrow is the real myth.
Yeah, yeah. So maybe tonight you should try to plan something for yourself. Anything.
I think I have something kind of planned already because like
Mm.
one of my friends is coming to visit, so I kind of
Oh.
did more this week so I can do less next week.
Okay. So you see, it's like you don't have a perfect balance,
Mhm.
but you did more previously, and then now you can enjoy it. So that is the kind of sort of like not so symmetry, but at the same time trying your best to balance that. So you did it already.
I'm the completely opposite of her because
Oh
I
no.
I fall sick and I had to take MC this past 2 days. So I had to push my sessions to next week. So I have more sessions next week.
That just means you're working yourself to the
I
point
mean,
of MC.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's your body is telling you to learn. Your body is giving you signals.
Slow down.
My body is going, but my mind is not registering it.
Scheduled maintenance, or it will be scheduled for you. That's what your body is doing to you right now.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, so I think we really need to reflect.
I shall I shall work on that.
Yeah. Don't sound common.
Something I wanted to ask you because you mentioned me time, right? Anything
Yeah.
specific that you like to do during me
Oh,
time?
The exercise.
self-care
Self-care.
activity. Okay. Yeah, okay. Exercising at my age, scrolling the phone doesn't seem to work anymore. I need to do extensive exercise, so I go for exercises. uh, and it has to be intensive enough to sweat so that it feels so like
Refreshing.
relaxing and refreshing, and then I can just knock off without thinking much.
So-
Otherwise, it's difficult to sleep as well. And that's my first thing that I feel like helps me a lot in terms of taking care of myself. And number two is I think having enough sleep is important. Sleep early. Your eyes tells me that you don't. You're sleeping early
No
and
comments.
waking up early.
No comments.
How many hours did you get today?
Do you want me to be honest?
Yes.
Yeah, but-
3. At least you have 3. Yeah. So
Work in
sleep
progress.
is important. Sleep is important, I think. And then eating. I mean, think about it, right? We have been trying to say all this self-care stuff as something so luxurious as if, but all
Mhm.
these are basic daily
Necessities.
necessities like
Mm.
exercising, eating healthily. If I eat healthy, I feel nice about my body. I feel like I have treated myself well.
Mhm.
I made a promise to my body to treat myself well, and I did it. I feel nice about it. I sleep well. I really attend to the needs of my body. I really feel good. And when I have ache here and there, right, I go exercise, I feel like I have relieved a little bit of ache in my I feel like I'm responsible. So I think these are the 3 main things. But as I said, right, these 3 things are basic life necessity. There's nothing luxurious. Of course, if I can, I would like to travel, but time, right? Yeah, but that's extra. But the 3 main things is eat healthily, sleep well, and also go for exercise. Mm.
You wanna wrap up? You wanna wrap up?
Mm.
I think we discussed quite a lot.
Quite extensive.
Oh.
Yeah.
A lot of
Very
cool-
reflective.
a lot of insight here and there. So, based on all of your experience that you've accumulated throughout all your years of working, being a mother, and all that, and also all the perspective that you learned, all of this came from years of trying your best. Uh, what would you tell your younger self about
Oh,
that? How
wow.
far you've come?
Ah, sounds like guest talk, right?
A bit, but also
bit.
like
Mm.
whatever you would tell your younger self is something I think like all of us can take back with us because we're like we're also working towards where you kind of are right now.
Oh. I hope that I didn't give the wrong direction.
Yeah.
That's just a disclaimer. It's just my personal journey, right? I don't
Yeah.
know if it applies to the current generation of AI. So many things
No.
change, right? I think one very important thing that I want to tell my so-called younger self is that take things easy lah. Don't need to be fast. I think last time the only reason I want to move forward is just so I can be fast in achieving the goals that I want. But actually, no need. Take things easy, enjoy life, look at the scenery outside. That's more important than achieving the so-called goals.
Goals.
Um, appreciating yourself as well and people around you. These are more important and long lasting than goals, I think. So it's so general. I don't know if you understand what it means, but if you try to thoroughly think about appreciating small things in life, right, your heart suddenly becomes lighter. I don't know if it makes sense.
It makes sense.
Uh,
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it suddenly becomes lighter. And that's what life is about, right? You don't need all these big things, right, actually. If we can, but no need to push yourself.
Yeah.
Very existential.
Yeah. How existential, yeah.
I think we've covered all our bases.
Yeah, so that's why we need all this, right, in sessions so that we are all human in sessions too. So just acknowledge that you are a human too. Everything has time for it. Whatever that comes, you just attend to it. Don't need to rush things. If it didn't happen, it's just a matter of time. Let it go. It will come when it comes. Don't worry. Just don't worry.
I think that's a really good takeaway though, especially like you said, we live in a very like fast paced kind of situation where it's always like, oh, I need to do the next thing.
Mm,
Oh, did my degree, now do masters, do
correct.
PhD. Everything has to come back to back.
Yeah.
So I think taking that time to like appreciate what we have right
Mm,
now is
mm.
like something that we all forget to do sometimes.
I thought that's a millennial kind of thinking. You guys are not millennial anymore. You shouldn't be thinking like that.
The workforce is crazy.
Yeah.
Do you guys have
So,
anything to add?
No, also because it's about the pressure. Because when you see
Uh.
someone's life is like so far,
so-called better.
exactly, so-called better,
Grass is green.
on the other side, exactly. So when you see them, you're like, oh my God, they have achieved so much in their life. What about my life? Why am I still here? And you just keep ruminating about that. And that kind of like drives you like, okay, you know what? I should not waste my time. That's the mentality that we kind of like resort to, which I think we shouldn't because everyone have their own pace.
I
that should
mean,
take.
you can if you have the capability, right? Don't waste the capability as well. But not at the expense of your sleeps, not at the expense of your health,
Correct.
and not at the expense of your mental state. I think that's very important. If you can, by all means, you are born to this society to contribute something, not just enjoying sceneries every day. Your mom and dad will hate me. Oh, you can
I'm
do
going to take
things.
this as the main takeaway and tell my parents.
Yeah, you can do, but not at the expense of too much till you lose a lot of things in your life.
I think that's the issue with like the online sharings as well, because there's a lot of like emphasis on the hustle mindset, the grind mindset.
Yeah.
So a lot of people keep pushing that far to the point like they push too far and they forget to actually like stop for a while.
Correct.
Like,
Evaluate
yeah.
what's going
Enjoy the
on.
moment.
The rate
Yeah.
of like heart disease in young people is like scary from like
True.
all of the stress that they put on.
Yeah, prevalence
Exactly.
of depression is rising.
Mhm.
Work stress starts from work stress, right? We all know that. So I think that's a reminder to everyone. We are mental health professionals, right? So we have to start so that we can preach, right? Yeah.
I feel like it's directing to me, doctor.
That's
I'm
just
looking at her, but it's
that,
just directing to me.
that seems like you were taking away from something from that.
Everyone, I think we have to reflect on this. It's hard. I know it's hard. Sometimes we forget. We are very used to it, but we try our best from day to day. If we can, we can. If we can't today, we still give in. It's okay. It's okay. We try again tomorrow. Don't be harsh on yourself. Mm.
Flexibility.
Yeah.
Flexibility.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so
All
much for this,
right.
doctor. I
Welcome.
think this was like a really good conversation
Yeah.
and something that's like very relevant to
Mm.
us and also probably relevant to like whoever is like listening.
We forgot to look.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Okay.
So thank you so much for joining us today. And so this was our second episode, and we'll
Yeah.
be back soon. Thank you guys for joining me. Thank you, doctor. And we have another tech person today because Ben has finally been upgraded.
Come this side, Ben.
Okay. Thank you, Elaine. And we'll see you guys soon. Bye.
Bye.
Flexible.